Hello.
Aaron.
Hey, is it Jeff?
Yes, it is. This is great.
How's it going?
Very well.
Excellent.
Are you up for a little bit of chat? I have about 7 points of interest and a few things that'll be a little bit of fun. And
Yeah, shoot, let's go for it.
Oh, this is great. You sound great. Can you hear my voice okay?
Yeah, perfectly clear. You could be next door.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, I'm going to start with this, a poem for you, because I know that you're into some deep poetry. So I'm going to start with Tennyson about the Lady Shallot. It reminds me of My Dying Bride. Here we go. But in her web she still delights to weave the mirror's magic sights, for often throw the silent nights a funeral with plumes and lights and music went to Camelot, or My Dying Bride. So we're here with Aaron Stainthorpe. What do you think?
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Cool. It's great to talk with you. I'm gonna open up this way. We're gonna kind of go through a quick, fun, sort of radio expose of all the albums really fast by saying the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
So here we go. We're gonna go like this. The first thing that comes to your mind. You can answer this quickly by one word, or you can really go to town with things.
Okay.
So here we go. As the flower withers.
The first one, the drunkest one, and possibly the most pleasurable one to finish.
Awesome. And we were throwing in the middle something that I really dug about My Dying Bride is EPs in between, full lengths. I know that's off the cuff, not so deep, but was that an idea by you guys to keep disciplined on that? What was that format?
That was the original contract offered to us by Peaceville Records, because they were a bit tentative at the beginning, and so they thought, okay, let's not do a full album, let's do an EP first. And because they're a business, they kind of thought, well, we'll do 3 EPs and 3 albums, and we'll just see how that works out. And being a young band, hell, we'd sign anything. And this was a great deal. 3 albums and 3 EPs wasn't that big. We were hearing of other bands being signed for 10 albums, which is quite frightening. So when this offer turned up, we thought, this is quite a good format. The EPs will allow us a little bit of experimental ground, particularly the B-sides.
Awesome.
So we went for it.
That's great. I think that's a great answer, and that's something that I know you like the Swans. I don't really know if you like them. They always did a double kind of concept as well, and it's really interesting to hear that spin on it, that it was contractual, but I think it's a brilliant contract.
It is, actually, because albums are really where you want to shine and show everybody your talents, your skills, and what you are capable of. So when you do an EP, again, the B-side of it, that's really something you can really twist the lemon a bit and go for it and do things that, will make people sit up and listen and say, hang on a minute, this isn't just a kind of doom goth rock band. They've got other hidden talents too. And the B-side of EPs, that's a perfect stomping ground for that kind of material.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, we'll go back on our little pathway here. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when we say turn loose the Swans?
Well, I'm not going to say it, but everyone else says it. It's a classic.
It is.
In fact, the awkward second album, it's always got to top the first album. I think it did. And it's just one of those things that people are saying now is sort of going down in the history books, which is, it's an honourable place to be. And I thank everyone who supported us and bought it and worshipped it the way they have done. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. The Angel and the Dark River.
That was particularly memorable because after the release, Steve Harris, bass player from Iron Maiden, got in touch and said, I like that album. How would you like to come on tour with us around Europe? And of course, we were thinking, oh, go on then. And so, we ended up, on the strength of that album, travelling around Europe with one of our all-time favourite boyhood bands. And it was absolutely fantastic. We got to play on the soccer team, 3 international football matches. It was just absolutely memorable. I will take that to my grave happily.
Oh, that's fantastic. like gods of the sun.
Similarly, we were invited to the US by Ronnie James Dio, God rest his soul. And again, an absolute fantastic time we had there. We couldn't believe how friendly the US public were to us. Ronnie himself was an absolute gem, a real diamond of a guy. We're going to miss him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So friendly. When we got to our first dressing room, he supplied English tea bags and English beer for us, which was amazing. And such a wonderful guy. Absolutely brilliant tour.
That is great, great. Yeah, I've been just jamming a lot of that last Sabbath stuff he was doing, and oh man,
Yeah.
digging it. All right, 34.788% complete.
Yeah, this is the one that irks a lot of fans. To be honest, if we put a different cover on it, gave it a different title, it would be pretty much classed as a similar standard My Dying Bride album. But we wanted to give it a weird title, and we wanted to give it a weird cover. And if it really wasn't for the song Heroin Chic, people just wouldn't have thought it stood out as much as it does. There's a couple of interesting ideas on there which we'd never done before, but it's not as experimental as people make it out to be. If we'd stuck a gothic cover on and a typical Doom title, I'm sure it probably would have sold more. But we wanted to do something a bit more experimental. We went for it. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I think it's one of our best, and I will stand by that.
Oh, I love them. We'll continue on here. The Dreadful Hours.
One of my favourites, if not my favourite, I think. It contains all the ingredients you would expect from a band with a name like My Dying Bride. It's got doom, it's got horror, it's melancholic, there's some brutal death metal moments, there's great somberness, there's love and passion. That album contains everything you expect on the menu in a My Dying Bride restaurant.
Awesome. That's a killer answer. And it looks like right after that as well, good old Peaceful with good packaging, you know, the digipacks start to get exciting there. Beautiful, beautiful. We're going to get to that in a second here, but let's go to Songs of Darkness, Worlds of Light.
Yeah, that was one. I keep forgetting about this album. I don't know why, because I really like it. I think it must have been a quiet touring period for us, because I don't seem to have many memories of taking that on the road. I mean, we're not the most prolific touring band in the world anyway. For example, this year, our 21st anniversary, we're playing a total of 7 shows. So, we're a very quiet band, and I think during that period, we must have been particularly quiet as well, or very drunk, because I don't remember much about it.
Is that maybe you guys showcase, gives you guys an something that incubates and creates more beauty, though? Do you think that as well? Is that just...
Yeah, when we disappear from public eye, we're not kind of sat around on our backsides doing nothing. We are always working on new and interesting ideas. Plus, we've never had management. Myself and Andrew run the band, which is a business as well. And so we're always doing things behind the scenes. But yeah, when you're out on the road, you're pretty much rehearsing the songs you're about to perform. So you're not paying any attention to ideas you may have in your head. And so when we take some time off, it looks like we've disappeared and even split up, but we haven't. We've got our heads down, we're writing new material, and we'll be bouncing back in a year or so.
That's really cool. Really cool. All right, A Line of Deathless Kings.
Yeah, this is another great album. I mean, I would say they're great because obviously I'm in the band and I helped write them, but this is just another one where I'm really proud of the things that we worked on that album. There's some songs on there which they just make the hair on the back of your neck tingle a little bit, and that's great. When you can make people emotionally feel your music rather than just listen to it, then you've gone another level higher. And on that album, there's a few tingly moments, which is a great thing.
And For Lies I Sire.
Yeah, the current album, I guess, although it's a little bit long in the tooth already. But yeah, this is wonderful. The violin has returned after a long, long time away. It's always wonderful to hear, but we purposely made an effort not to put the violin on every single song really loud. It would have made it seem like a gimmick. It would have made it seem like we were cheerleading this instrument that had been gone for so long and we were lost without it, and here it is, everybody. Certainly not like that at all. It's nice to have it back, and so we kept it moderate. We'd written the album. The violin was there to simply emphasize and embellish the things that we'd already written. Any louder and any more, it would have been a complete gimmick, and that's the last thing we'd have wanted.
Awesome. So proper orchestration and, definite artistry then. And
Yeah. I mean, the violin, again, as I just say, it embellishes what's already written. There are moments, of course, where you'll open up a couple of guitar riffs and say, hold on a minute, let's get that violin in there, because what's being played right now on that little tiny instrument will work absolutely perfectly in there. So we do edit things around to fit the violin in from time to time, but we're certainly not going to sort of bang on about how great it is to be back.
Sure. That is some great answers there. One musical question about that, some of the work that you guys do, going through your history there. Do you double lines with the violin ever, like singing in unison or in harmony with the violin as it plays a melody? Do you sing lyrics with that, or is it just when you're writing? It's kind of a writing question. I'm sorry I didn't execute that too hot.
No, it's perfectly fine, because, to be honest, most of the vocals will be done before the violin. I work very closely with both guitar players, Hamish and Andrew, and we pretty much put the music all together before we go to the studio. Studio time obviously is very expensive, so we need to get most of the material written before we hit the studio. And then when we're in there, we bang the drums down first. The bass can go on any time. We stick the guitars down. I already know where the vocals are going, but we then do the keyboards and the violin. The vocals always last, because it's easier to change vocals and lyrics than it is to drag a guitar player back in and to play some more chords and shuffle the actual music around. The lyrics and the words can be shuffled around at will, so they're always last. But generally, I've got the melodies and ideas already sorted before the keys and violin turn up. But there have been moments when I've heard a violin piece and I just alter what I'm going to sing slightly to fit better with that instrument. It's always an evolving process. You can't have it written in stone before you hit the studio, because you're really making boundaries for yourself. It's nice to fly freely sometimes and allow yourself a bit of flexibility.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Okay, we'll shift gears a little bit. Do you remember Dynamo 95?
Of course I do. Like it was yesterday.
Oh, I know.
Good evening, Eindhoven.
That was a long time ago. Their 10th anniversary, I do believe.
Yeah, yes, it would be. We have some cool stuff from that, too. Just amazing. What a show. Did it rain on you guys?
No, it didn't. We were lucky, because we're one of the kind of bands who, because our music's quite atmospheric, we always choose to not play outside. If there's a marquee or a huge tent, we'll try and play in that all the time, because we want, it sounds cliched and awful, but we want lots of darkness, because that's what our music's all about. If we're playing to a festival where the sun is shining, the kids are all drunk, our music dies on its feet. So, unfortunately, of course, the weather doesn't have an impact on us when we're playing in the tent. So, we're quite happy to do that. And if we do have to play on an outside stage, it just doesn't quite work.
Sure. Or maybe nighttime or something,
yeah.
It was pouring on us, that's all I can say.
Yeah, I know. I got to see you, though, but it was really, really fantastic. And it was the first time I'd seen you guys there, and I loved it. And it was funny, because the fans are all stood up to their knees in mud, and I was as well, but I knew I could go backstage and just get changed. These people were sleeping in this shit.
That's great. All right, let's go to current. What is currently going on with My Dying Bride?
Well, just the Monday that's just passed, we released Evinter, our classical ambient 3-CD opus, which is obviously very current at the moment. I've just been doing quite a lot of press for it. And just today, actually, I bought the biggest selling daily newspaper in the UK, and we've got a review, and 4 out of 5 in that, which is wonderful. It's unusual to find music of our genre in a national newspaper, so I'm guessing the editor of the music section must be a bit of a fan, which is it's wonderful news. So, yeah, Evinter is our current opus that we're touting around at the moment, and something we've worked hard on, we're very proud of. But we're still knuckling down and writing the new album. I'm having a meeting with Hamish and Andrew next week, and we hopefully will be able to put about 80% of the next full studio album together, which is scheduled for a release later this year. Probably late summer, possibly in the autumn, we're not sure yet, but there will certainly be a full, heavy studio My Dying Bride album out this year.
Great, great. We can't wait to anticipate that. And will there be any surprises with old acquaintances? Like Martin, Powell, or, or anybody?
It's funny, Martin contacted me just this week because this is going to sound very English and very twee, but we have over here a pub quiz. My local pub, they have a quiz night on a Monday night, and this is very un-rock and roll. And Martin's been dying to come and join in the fun for years, so he's actually going to cycle 40 miles from his house to take part in our pub quiz in a couple of weeks' time, and then he's going to cycle back again, the maniac. And yeah, we're very friendly, we're very pally, and I think it would almost be rude not to have him as, doing some sort of cameo appearance on the next album. We can't guarantee it, because we did actually try to get him on For Lies I Sire, but he's quite a busy guy as well, and when we had a window of opportunity, he was out of the country, so we missed that then. Hopefully, we can sort of touch bases and make everything work for the next one.
Oh, man, that's great. And it seems like all your members, you can feel the energy, that there wasn't too many painful changes and exchanges of members throughout your career. It seems like a very, very peaceful band, very, very deep.
Yeah, I mean, the people who have left because they have decided that the rock and roll lifestyle is simply not for them. The only person, ironically enough, that we've kicked out was Martin. Everybody else has left because they've had a go. They've tasted the rock and roll lifestyle, and it's just not for them, and they've moved on to other things. Some have started families, and they just don't like touring and doing ridiculous, getting up at ridiculous hours, traveling around the world, and actually not making that much money. I think some people get a bit disillusioned. They think being in a rock band automatically is going to line your pockets heavily with the crisp and folding. But it's not always the case. And for some people, it's just too much. And we've lost several members in the past. But they've gone. We've had a small hiccup. We've replaced them. And we're back on track again.
And now we're back with Aaron Stainthorpe, My Dying Bride.
Get ready to match the stars. Bert Convey, J.P. Morgan, Charles Nelson Riley, Brett Somers, Richard Dawson, and Betty White.
Betty, you get ready to write your answer. You face me. I'll get the question. Here it is. You ready? Here it is, Betty. Write your answer to this. Broken blank. Broken blank. All right. Betty White has finished writing her answer to that. Now you think about it and give us your response. Broken blank.
Arrow, which I believe was a film. Was it Christian Slater, John Travolta, or have I made that up? It's something like that. Action-packed thriller, good stuff.
That's great.
You were hoping I'd say Broken Heart, weren't you?
Awesome.
Betty White, for $5,000, may we see your response?
I've got a broken heart. Oh.
What would you like to say to all the listeners out there on Metal Messiah Radio?
Well, you know something, Jeff? I'm not really the controversial kind of a guy. We've upset a few people with some of the content of our songs, but not intentionally. When we speak our minds, which we're allowed to do, we're in a free-speaking Western civilization, and I'm allowed to say what I want to say, but I generally don't bark and scream and shout political viewpoints at people. We're all allowed our own viewpoint, and I respect that in people. So I'm not really going to scream and shout about anything. I'm just going to touch upon slightly, though, the fact that, and this is obviously controversial, though I just said I'm not controversial, I just do wish some religious people would just calm down a little bit. You know, they're just a little bit excitable. It's fine having a strong belief, but tying a grenade to it, not going to work.
I hear ya. That's awesome. I so appreciate this call with you. That sums up the interview, and I hope we can call you back when you get closer to release dates and things like that, and just throw you in some shorts and tidbits. What a wonderful, wonderful interview.
Well, it's been absolutely my pleasure. And can I just sneak in the fact that we will actually be doing the 70,000 Tons of Metal gig from Miami to somewhere in the Bahamas, is it, next year? So January, some of our US fans will actually be able to get to see us, which is a rare occasion. We are desperately trying to get back to the US. We had a blast with Dio. But financial reasons, occupational reasons, we just haven't been able to wangle it when lesser bands have. But believe me, Jeff, we are going to pull our finger out and try and get back to the States ASAP.
Oh, that's awesome. What a great interview, dude. We won't keep you any longer. Have a great time tonight and this weekend, and we'll talk to you again, man.
Brilliant, Jeff. I really enjoyed that. I'll put you on my #1 Christmas list. You have a good evening and a great weekend too, and I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, talk to you later.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Cheers.